Tennessee Life is sponsored by
Mid-South Sewing is an authorized brother dealer and repairs all brands of machines. Mid-South Sewing, known for their many fabrics, classes, and individual instructions. Classes on sewing and embroidery machines, software, sergers, and quilting. Mid-South Sewing, Knoxville and Murfreesboro.
Tennessee Life is also brought to you by Next to New, an upscale consignment shop serving Knoxville. nexttonewknox.com. And by The Flower Pot, for over 100 years, offering flowers and same-day delivery with 2 convenient Knoxville locations. knoxvilleflowerpot.com. And by viewers like you. Thank you. Coming up on this edition of Tennessee Life, we look into the history of your favorite festivals. Cherry blossoms have become a celebrated sign of spring. Find out how the Japanese community planted this idea in our state capital.
This is not just about trees, this is about a relationship with our Japanese friends.
The blooming dogwood trails in Knoxville and the festival that celebrates them and the arts as a most interesting start.
We obviously have the natural beauty down with the mountains just right next door. We have the native dogwood trees also. And then there's just this great community and culture that Knoxville cultivates. And so we really wanted to hone in on that.
The Knoxville Opera brings performers to the people with the Rossini Festival, where you can get a taste of Italian food and music.
We have to make sure that the most people possible understand, appreciate, and are exposed to this magnificent art form, which is for them.
Those stories next on Tennessee Life.
Many of our local springtime festivals have interesting beginnings and rich histories. We start in Nashville, where every April people gather to enjoy the Cherry Blossom Festival. But this festival is about much more than the blossoms. It's about Japanese and American friendships in our state.
I think the people of Nashville are beginning to anticipate the cherry blossom blooming. By planting cherry trees in the Nashville area, we've sort of extended the spring season because the cherries bloom fairly early. We've had amazingly good success with our trees. My name is Randall Lance. I'm Superintendent of Horticulture for Metro Parks and Recreation, and since 2008, my folks and I have planted 900 cherry trees in the Metro Nashville area. The cherry tree behind me is one called Okami. It's really the first cherry that we have to bloom. Cherries bloom first as a rule, then we pick up the red buds, then we'll pick up the dogwoods. So it's sort of a nice kind of a combination of things as we go through the season. They grow really well here. They're not a forever tree. We're planting Yoshino cherries because that's what you have around the tidal basin in Washington, so that we chose that tree as sort of our signature tree. They come out in the spring, a sort of a soft pink, and then they bleach to white. This is not just about trees, this is about a relationship with our Japanese friends and how international, this city especially is very international, and we're welcoming to all of our residents and we're welcoming to our international friends.
It started with the planting of cherry trees, and it was the idea of a former Consul General here, Consul General Sato, who wanted to plant cherry trees in Nashville because it was so important in Japan and to Japanese culture. So the plan was to plant 100 cherry trees every year for 10 years. So we would have 1,000 cherry trees in Nashville.
We had an office in New Orleans, and we have moved from there to here in 2008. And the very first Consul General had an idea to organize this kind of cultural events. This Cherry Blossom Festival represents the cherry blossom flowers, and which has a very specific Japanese symbol. It has been regarded as one of the special flower for spring. About more than 1,000 years ago, it was sort of representing arrival of spring, informing the peasant farmers that we have come to the time of planting rice paddy field Also, for the last 1,000 years, cherry blossom is one of the quite important source of Japanese classic literature.
One important thing we like about the festival is that it promotes Japanese culture. It promotes the importance of Japan to the state of Tennessee. And an important thing to us is it also brings Japan to people all over our area who will never have the opportunity to go to Japan. So they can come to our festival and eat Japanese food, watch Japanese performances, experience Japanese music and dance, look at Japanese art, see products and merchandise that are sold in Japan. So they have the opportunity to experience this. And most of those people, like I said, will never have the opportunity to go to Japan. So we're kind of bringing Japan to them and helping them learn about Japan and appreciate the culture. And the fact that it is free admission means that anyone can come. Every year we've grown. Every year we add more vendors, more exhibitors, more artists, more entertainment, and our attendance has increased every year. We think people do look forward and plan to attend the festival, especially, for example, the people who participate in our cosplay contest where they hand make their anime character costumes. They work on them for a long time in preparation for the festival. We also have hear from a lot of people on our Facebook page who are eager to come and sample the Japanese food and to see the martial arts demonstrations. We bring in a taiko drum group from Houston, Kaminari Taiko, and there are people who look forward to seeing Kaminari Taiko perform.
I really like drums because for someone who already knows, it's maybe interesting, but for someone who has never seen or listened to that, the big the drum performance, it's really amazing in terms of the volume of the drum and the size of the drum. So if you could just try, I bet you really like it.
The Japanese who attend the festival, who I think appreciate seeing something of their own culture on display. And I think it's also important for the parents of Japanese children, for them who are living here in Tennessee, for them to see and learn about Japanese culture and to see how it's appreciated and enjoyed by Tennesseans. I've learned about the Japanese attending the festival that they do enjoy seeing their own culture on display. And we do also have some things that are uniquely American at the festival too. One of our vendors brings funnel cakes, and we noticed last year that a lot of his good customers were young Japanese students who were maybe having their first funnel cake. Because certainly I don't think they sell those in Japan. So that's been interesting to watch them, to be able to appreciate both Japanese and American culture in one event.
We have very strong business community for the many decades in the past, and we would like to enjoy this opportunity with the local. We have so much in good business relationship with them. Why not just simply celebrate this spring festive season with the local people, let alone our Japanese community here. When the cherry flowers are blooming out, it's so beautiful. I really would like you to come along with your friends and enjoy a sunny day in spring, and hopefully the cherry blossom flowers will be kind enough to hang on.
It is hard for me to imagine the city without the Cherry Blossom Festival and all the cherry trees we've planted. I think that having these 900 trees, soon to be 1,000 trees, has contributed to the springtime enjoyment of our residents. After planting 1,000 trees in 10 years, it makes me feel old, for one. But it's great to go back and look at the first ones we planted and how big they've gotten and watch people react with them. And that's a pretty good thing as a legacy.
Later on Tennessee Life, you don't have to go to the theater to experience opera. Just go to the Rossini Festival in the streets of downtown Knoxville, where the performers come to you. And next, how a community came together to create miles of dogwood trails and a celebration of natural beauty and art with the Dogwood Arts Festival.
The Dogwood Arts Festival in Knoxville celebrates the dogwood trails that were first created in 1955. The trails remain a central part of the celebration today, but the festival has grown into an attraction of its own. The Dogwood Arts Festival has become a springtime tradition in Knoxville, but it has a very interesting beginning.
Yes, a gentleman from New York in the late 40s wrote some not so nice things about Knoxville, saying that we were the ugliest city in America, that there was nothing appealing about our town. So some women led the charge and created the Dogwood Trails. The first trail was created in 1955.
So basically, the people of Knoxville didn't like the bad press, and they came together to improve the image. So tell me a little bit more how that took place.
A group of women, they were in a garden club. They started with the Sequoia Hills Dogwood Trail, which is a heritage trail, as we say. It is a beautiful trail right near West Knoxville. They rallied the community, they rallied the neighborhoods, and they really showed off the natural beauty of our city and really told that guy that we really do have something to show off.
So the focus was the trails. Why the focus on the dogwood versus any other tree, do you think?
They chose the dogwood tree, I believe, because it is native to this region. It grows well. They're abundant in this region. And the Sequoia Hills Trail, if you drive along it, you'll see that it's just blooming with dogwood trees. And I think that that was probably their main focus.
How many miles or places can you go and walk dogwood paths?
Well, I would say it's close to 100 miles of dogwood trails. Not all are walkable because some of them are roadways, but you can see the dogwood trails from a bike or a jog or your car.
How did the focus go from solely trails and gardens to then starting up including the arts?
So our mission, our overall mission, is to promote and celebrate our region's art, culture, and natural beauty. And so that encompasses so much of what is here in Knoxville. There's a thriving arts community. We obviously have the natural beauty down with the mountains just right next door. We have the native dogwood trees also. And then there's just this great community and culture that Knoxville cultivates. And so we really wanted to hone in on that and highlight that.
So the first festival was in 1961.
Yes.
How many people attend the festival today?
So the festival in 1961 came about because of so many people coming to Knoxville to enjoy and experience the trails. We had an event that was a sub part of that 61 festival that had an attendance of close to 6,000, and now we have attendance that's close to 50,000 just at the Dogwood Arts Festival. And throughout the month of April, we have hundreds of thousands of people who come to Knoxville to enjoy dogwood.
Can you tell us about some of the famous people who have attended or entertained at the festival over the years?
Absolutely. The number one person that we love to talk about that has come to the festival over the years is Elvis Presley. He came and he performed at the Stokely Athletic Center. We've had Bob Hope come, Willard Scott has come and done the weather from Market Square. So we really love to talk about that old heritage talent that's come to Knoxville.
What is interesting is that Dogwood Arts is not just one thing. There's a big festival, of course, but tell me about the variety of events that are known as the Dogwood Arts Festival.
So yes, Dogwood Arts is primarily known for the festival on Market Square. We actually changed the name of that event to Dogwood Arts Festival, so there's no question that that is our heritage event. We produce about 15 to 16 other events throughout the year. We are obviously very April-centric because that's when the dogwoods are blooming, but we have art exhibits, we have public art, large-scale sculpture exhibits. We do a music festival. We have the Chalk Walk on Market Square, which is very, very popular in Knoxville as well. So our calendar is always expanding and growing, and we always want to highlight the natural beauty of our region, the art, and the culture, of course, as well.
What is the biggest Dogwood Arts event today?
So our biggest Dogwood Arts event is the festival on Market Square. The Dogwood Arts House and Garden Show, which is every February, is our #1 fundraiser for everything that we do throughout the year. The festival on Market Square, Chalk Walk, and Rhythm and Blooms Music Festival are highest attended events.
Any festival that has been going on for many years has its ebbs and flows, its ups and downs. Has there ever been a time when it was hard to keep the festival going?
Absolutely. As you mentioned, there are ebbs and flows to really any organization. There was a time when Dogwood had no staff. It was run strictly by volunteers. It was run by the board, and there was not the strong staff of 8 that we have now.
Why do you think the Dogwood Arts Festival is still going strong after almost 6 decades?
Well, I can say number one, that we have an incredible base of volunteers. From the festival on Market Square to the House and Garden Show to our tree planting program in December, we have thousands and thousands of people who support what we do just because they love what we do. Our volunteers are tremendous, and we have an incredible presenting sponsor who supports us financially, and they care about what we do and they see the impact that we do in our community as well. There's absolutely no question that those 2 things keep us afloat for 6 decades, as you say.
With the festival being so long running, and as you have created new events, have any of these new events really evolved to be a wow?
Absolutely. The one that really comes to mind is Chalk Walk. That event is such a cool concept and unique concept to Knoxville. No one had ever done anything like it, and Dogwood had never done anything like that before. And so that brought in a whole new audience of parents and children and artists from all ages and all skill sets. The Rhythm and Blooms Music Festival absolutely brings in a whole new demographic and audience to what we do. Reimagining some of the heritage and older events that we do, like the festival on Market Square and the House and Garden Show, giving it some new flair and new life is really what keeps us going. Just reimagining and just not reinventing the wheel, but just reimagining what we do and making it more relevant.
It's hard to imagine that someone once called Knoxville anything but beautiful. What do you think it says about the community coming together to change that image?
I think that there's a strong sense of community and pride in where we live. And I even see it from all the different dogwood trails around the community. We have Farragut to Fountain City to Westmoreland. All those different neighborhoods have this intense pride for where they live. I myself am a Fountain City person. I grew up on the Westmoreland Trail, but those people care a lot about where they live, and they want to show it off. And Dogwood Arts is a great opportunity and a great way, a great outlet to do that.
Thank you, Catherine Torbert, for sharing the Dogwood Arts story with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Every spring you can get a taste of Italy right in downtown Knoxville. The Rossini Festival is a way for the Knoxville Opera to showcase their talented singers outside the usual theater setting by bringing them out into the streets. We learn more about the history of the Rossini Festival from conductor Brian Selesky.
Opera's for everyone. It was created for everyone. It's a 400-year-old art form. It's musical theater. Sometimes it's in a foreign language, sometimes it's in English, but it's for everybody. It's the people's art form. The reason we do the Rossini Street Fair is rather simple. This is our gift to the city. It is our largest education outreach event, and it's unique in the United States of America at least. Here is an opera company that operates on a very low budget and yet is doing this enormous festival that costs tens of thousands of dollars for which no one has to pay to attend. So it's a free gift to anyone who wants to come. The exposure to all of these 600 performers in the vast variety of performing arts is, again, truly unique. Jokke Rossini was a very famous Italian opera composer. He spent the first 36 years of his life composing many, many operas, and then he was so successful and so famous, he spent the last half of his life in Paris living in his grand apartment and didn't write another opera. He retired at the age of 36, and his last opera was an opera that has a piece of music that everybody in the United States knows. He wrote an overture to his opera, William Tell, which everybody knows because of the Lone Ranger television series, and that is Rossini. The Rossini Festival in Pesaro is an homage to his operas, and every summer they do this wonderful festival where they do, I think, 2, 3, or 4 of his operas in the theater there. And that was the beginning of something called the Rossini Festival. "16 years ago, my predecessor, Frank Raffeo, came up with the idea of having an opera festival which would be along the lines of the Rossini Festival in Pesaro, Italy. And so he called it the Rossini Festival because he loved Rossini operas. The template was that Knoxville Opera would perform an opera here in the magnificent Tennessee Theater on Friday night and Sunday afternoon, and UT Opera Theater would perform at the Bijou down the block on Saturday and Sunday night. And so you had an opera weekend that someone could come and enjoy. Then there was a last-minute idea to have a street fair of some sort that would connect the two theaters. So in the block and a half between this theater and the other theater, they would do some street fair activities. And for those people who knew what an Italian street fair was in big cities like New York, this was easy to imagine. And so they arranged for the local Italian restaurants to come out and serve some food, and a few artisans. And so it began very small in the first year. And then by the time I arrived, my first one was in 2006, it had already exploded to tens of thousands of people, to a footprint that was almost the entirety of Gay Street. And then during my 12 years, it has exploded even further, so that there are now 5 outdoor stages with 600 performers running 10 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, with about 150 artisans and food vendors, and we take almost the entirety of downtown now. What began as a 2-opera Rossini festival quickly became this street fair. It evolved into this enormous street fair with all of the entertainment and the food and the artisans. We now have one stage just devoted to choral singing, and that would include the Knoxville Opera Gospel Choir, et cetera, et cetera. We have one stage just for dance, and that's modern dance, traditional dance, ethnic dancing, ballet, it's all sorts of dance. And we have one stage just devoted to instrumental and a variety of that. We have one stage just devoted to opera singing, and we mix in Broadway and that, etc. So we've expanded as the people have expanded in coming to this wonderful opportunity of basically all the performing arts in one day in one place. It's really quite miraculous. Someone might, for the very first time in their lives, be exposed to modern dance, or be exposed to opera singing live, or be exposed to a gospel choir, or be exposed to klezmer music. And one of the wonderful things about the way it's set up physically is that the people who come can just wander around and run into all of this entertainment, not necessarily on purpose. It's critical for all opera companies to have a robust education outreach program, because that is the way we are raising the next generation of audiences. Not only for opera, really. I mean, I think we live in a community, we live in an industry where all the classical arts need to support each other, and I think in this community we very much do. Rossini Festival is definitely part of that fabric of festivals, which contributes tremendously to the commerce of our city, and to the growth of our city, and to the appreciation of our city. We have to make sure that the most people possible understand, appreciate, and are exposed to this magnificent art form, which is for them. Remember, all performing arts are for the people who appreciate them. We don't perform for ourselves, we perform for the public. And so we need to be reaching out to the public constantly so that people are aware of what we do and can really enjoy it, be inspired by it, and have a life that's enriched by it. If you don't know about it, then let that Rossini Festival be your entryway. Let it be your welcoming door.
We hope you have the chance to get out and enjoy some of the many springtime festivals in Tennessee. I'm Vicki Lawson. See you on the next Tennessee Life.
Tennessee Life is sponsored by
Mid-South Sewing is an authorized brother dealer and repairs all brands of machines. Mid-South Sewing, known for their many fabrics, classes, and individual instructions. Classes on sewing and embroidery machines, software, sergers, and quilting. Mid-South Sewing, Knoxville and Murfreesboro.
Tennessee Life is also brought to you by Next to New, an upscale consignment shop serving Knoxville. nexttonewknox.com, and by The Flower Pot, for over 100 years, offering flowers and same-day delivery with 2 convenient Knoxville locations, knoxvilleflowerpot.com, and by viewers like you. Thank you. A DVD of this Tennessee Life episode is available by visiting easttennesseepbs.org.